So let's try draw some graphs in Excel. We're going to use the same 3 steps to start the graphs each time. First step will be simply to select our data with the headings. Then after that, we're going to select the Insert tab and then simply select our recommended charts and pick the one that we want and press OK. We'll start with a line graph, and we don't have a full story here, but we can see from the data, this looks like the market share for a company over the years 2007 up to 2016. And we're going to want to show this as a line chart. So step 1, we select all our data, including the headings. Go to the top. Notice your Insert tab is right next to your Home tab. We move across, go to Recommended Charts. So those are the first 3 steps we are always going to do. Here we're on Recommended Charts. Simply note, right next to it, it's all charts. For now, we just want to deal with Recommended Charts. And down this left-hand side of the pop-up box, it's going to give you a whole bunch of choices. Some of them are ridiculous. Okay, something like that doesn't look like a line chart. So the first one it gave us looked like a line chart. And you can always read just below the actual suggested one. It actually describes this. It says a line chart is used to display trends over time, all categories when the order is important. Use it when there are many data points and order is important. Okay, so in this case, it's actually explaining a situation that we want. So we'll go, okay, and it pops up our line graph for us. And we can change the size of this so we can see it more clearly. Okay, so you can notice first of all that on our axes we have numbers, but they actually don't tell us what these numbers are. So the first thing we might want to add are axes titles. And also these numbers are very small, so we might also want to increase the size. So on a graph, I can do several things. On the side of the graph here, it says plus, chart elements. We're going to be able to add things, take things away, and edit. This here, the little paintbrush, is also styles we can use, color schemes, and so on. And this little funnel is going to allow us to filter things. And we're going to look at that just now when we do a compound bar chart. But for now, we'll leave that one out. So first, I'm going to start with, let's change the size of our font and our axes so we can read them. So I'm going to select on the font. Notice it selected all of it. And I'll go back to my Home tab. And I'm going to got my little font size here, increase my font size a bit and a bit more. And let's go one more and one more. Okay. Let's go to our x-axis. Let's increase the font size there. So we'll go up. We'll increase the font size there with a little button and a bit more and a bit more. Okay, let's go one more. There we go. So that's a bit easier to read. But also I want to add my axes titles. So I'm going to go chart elements, the little plus there, click on it. And it says here, I can add some axes titles. So now if I go down here, notice on the x-axis, it says axis title, but I'm going to type in a name. What is this year? So I'm going to start typing year. Notice as I'm typing, it's not showing what's happening here. To see what's being typed, you're probably going to have to go up to your formula bar up at the top. So that's where you're going to see what you're typing. Once you finish typing, you press enter. Notice we've got our year in there, but the font is tiny. So I'm going to once again, let's go using the top, the font section. Let's increase the font size so we can see that more clearly. Now I want my y-axis, so we click on it, so it's selected. Now notice as I type, it's going to not show in the section, it's going to show in my formula bar. Okay, so this is going to be market share. Notice, it's typing it up here. and then I press enter, and my market share is showing there, but I want to increase the font size again. Let's do it a couple times so it's easier to read. Let's go 1 level. Now, if I wanted to keep this heading here, I could. Maybe the company's name is, let's change the font, or the name. Let's call this company Magic, I don't know, Magic Clothes. I don't know. Okay, so we've now done our market share over years for this company. Okay, you can remove this entirely. Just click on it and delete, and it's gone. Okay, there's various other things we can change about this graph. So if you want to change maybe the line color, you can double click on the line. Notice what it's done is it has selected the line, various different points along the line, but also it's popped up this thing on the side, the format data series. And you've got a couple options here. It's got a little bucket for paint. So you might be interested in that, or here's some effects. And here's a little series, these little bars. This is looking like a bar chart. Okay, so, but that's referring to the series, which you can do. But here we want to change our color of our line. So we go back to the paint. And it actually, the very first thing at the top here, it says line, or the little markers. So notice at the moment, my markers are highlighted. I can change the size of them and what they look like. But I just want to, for now, it automatically pops up with line options. So I want a solid line. And then, so notice there, automatically, it does give a solid line, but I'm just going to choose solid line anyway. The color, I'm going to change this to red. And I can keep the line that width, but I'm going to change the width of the line. Just because I can, I'm going to make it maybe a touch thinner. Okay, just a little bit thinner. And now let's go even thinner so it's noticeable. Notice what's happened here. Got a much thinner line and it's changed its color. Okay, so we can change things like that. Now we can actually change the entire style. If we look up at the top here, it gives us different ways we can draw it. It's like preset different. Notice at the top it says designs. Different designs can give us. This one over here, very nicely, I'm going back, automatically puts the numbers in there. So if you look here, oh, let's choose it. 9.9. Instead of reading off the y-axis, it's telling you that that point you've plotted for 2007 on the y-axis is market share of 9.9. Okay, so you can do this. However, you do have the options when you change your styles. I'm going to quickly go undo that. You can add your elements, some more elements. So I'm going to get rid of this part on the side. And I'm going to add some more chart elements. I can do the chart title, which I've already deleted. I can give data labels. Notice there, it's popped up some numbers. And let's check what other options it gives us. Notice when I go over data labels, it has this little arrow next to it. It says we can do the center, we can do them. There you go. Notice on the center, it actually overlapping the line. On the left-hand side of the lines, on the right-hand side of the points, just above, below, data call out. There you go. It actually says the X. Okay, I'm going to press on this just for option. Notice it says here, this first point is 2007 for the X axis, and I'm going to move this so we can read it, 9.9 for the Y axis. So you can see that this style isn't suitable on this graph. So you can find a suitable style. Okay, so there's a variety of things you can edit there. Let's try simple bar chart. Okay, so we do our basic steps again. Select all your data with the headings. Now notice here, we can sort of work out based on the story that we've got some people. Now I'm going to work out how many there are. So I'm going to select all of this, plus the blank empty cell below it. And I'm going to go up to the top. And I'm going to use the auto sum. And it tells me above it, all these values here above that cell come to 250. Okay, so that's just for interest. So I know that 250 people were asked, and I assume this is what is their favorite brand of fruit juice. Okay, so we want to do a bar graph. So we select everything, including the headings. We want to, at the top, insert our recommended charts. And the one that it immediately recommends is a bar chart. And the reason it does this, notice the little description below. It's called a column chart here. And it's used to compare values across a few categories. So you can see this is used for categorical data. You can also have the option of, if you look here, another one of the recommended ones is a pie chart. And again, you have these categories. Okay, except that it's showing the bar chart as if it was round instead. Okay, so let's do our bar chart. Press OK. I'm going to make this a bit larger. And let's make it even larger. Now, I'm not going to add our axes titles in because we saw how to do that already. Our actual chart title is always based on here, our second column. And I'm trying to think, let's change the color of the bars. Let's just do this as well. Okay, so I select that. I could double click and get that big, remember there was that pop-up thing on the side here. I don't want to do that, so I'm just going to click on one bar. Notice all the bars are now highlighted. Okay, so I'm going to click off it. I'm going to click back on it. Just a single click, and it's highlighted them. If I go to the paintbrush here, it's going to allow me to change styles. Now those styles can also be found at the top. It's got this little design tab. But the nice thing with, once I've clicked this paintbrush, it also allows me to change color. So if I want, I can change to this color, sort of got its own color palette, in which case here it's orange. Okay, so just some minor changes to things you can do to make it look pretty. We can, this gap between the bars, we can reduce. Okay, just so you know, to get rid of this pop-up thing again, let's just click on there again and it hides it. If I want to reduce the width, this gap between the two bars, double click, okay, on your bars so that it's not just the bars selected, the bars get selected and this data format data series thing on the side pops up. Okay, so here automatically selected the little bars. You could have these other ones selected if you want, but we want to go to the bars because here at the bottom it says gap width. Okay, so let's reduce the gap width a bit. Notice as I'm clicking down, bars are getting wider, which means the gap between them is getting smaller. In fact, I can take the gap away entirely, but for this, I want to have a clear view of each of the categories. So I'm not going to make the bars touch one another. Okay, so that's a basic bar chart. We can get a bit more complex. Our compound bar chart. Now I'm going to get rid of this thing on the side here. We'll pop it up again just now. Okay, so now we're using the same example. So that's the information we had. But now we're breaking down the number of people that chose that type of drink by males and females. Okay, so I'm going to do a compound bar chart that includes not just the males and females, but is going to include the totals as well, a bar for the totals. And then I'll show you how to get rid of the totals. So select everything. including the headings. Go up to the top and use the Insert tab. Move across to the recommended charts. And automatically, it shows you the clustered chart that we want, what we call a compound bar chart. If you look in the other options down the side here, is giving you this option. Okay, this is what we call a compound bar chart. Okay, is it a compound? Oh, I can't even remember the names. Okay, in Excel, they call it a stacked column. We want a clustered column. Okay, so notice Excel does use a bit of different names from what we use. So let's go, okay, this is looking what we want. I'm going to make this a bit larger because there's a lot that we can change here. Okay, now notice, right at the bottom, this tiny total done in blue bars, males are done in the orange bars, females in gray bars. Now I could make this font larger so it's more clear, but it still gets sort of lost in the font of all this writing here, and I don't want it to get lost. So what I'm going to do is this legend, it's telling me which bars and the colors belong to which group. I'm going to go up to my chart elements and go all the way down to the legend. Now notice I'm on the legend, it's ticked because there's a legend there, but there's a little arrow next to it. And it's going to say, well, it's currently at the bottom. Now I want to put it, let's suppose, at the top. See? Now it's very nice and clear here. And of course, I'm just going to, because I can, I'm just going to make that font a little larger. And I'm going to, in fact, I'll leave the chart title there. We can imagine it's something. Okay, so we have there all of it, very clear to see. I'll break down. What happens if we just want to compare the males and the females? We can get rid of the total column, the total columns, the bars, which are the blue ones. Two different ways. Quick one, see this little funnel? It's called the filter. So we click on there and you can choose which bars you want to show. Okay, so I'm going to untick the total. So now I've got the males there, the females there. Those are definitely ticked. And I definitely want to show all the different types of categories, so all the different fruit flavors. Okay, so I've just unticked right at the top here. I've unticked the totals. Go to the bottom and say apply. There we go. It's been changed. And if I want it back, I click there again. So it's ticked. Go down to the bottom, say apply. Let's suppose we wanted to take out this last type of fruit juice, Go Fruit. I can, in my categories, go down the different types of fruit juices, untick Go Fruit, apply, and there you go. It's taken that out entirely. But I don't want to do that. I want the Go Fruit, apply. So now I'm going to show you a different way to get rid of these total bars. So if you are in your, click anywhere on your chart. Okay, let's check, am I on my chart? And I should have a data option. Let's find it. No, oh, I've lost it. This will be terrible. Okay, so for now, I'm not going to do it this way. You would generally find a select data option. Okay, and for some reason I can't find it. So let's try this again. I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing it. Design. There we go. I found it. Okay, under the design at the top. Notice when I've done this, if I go along a bit, it says select data. Okay, sorry about that confusion. I eventually found it. I'm so used to doing it the quick way. So let's select data. And notice at the top here, it says the chart data range. And if you read that there, it's all the stuff that we've highlighted. And we go down to the left here, the legend entries. Now remember, in our legend entries, we've got the totals, male, females. At the moment, all of these are ticked. Now I'm going to untick the totals because I don't want them. And now I'll press, well, notice on this side here, my categories, I don't want to change. I want to leave them all there. So I press OK. And I've got rid of my totals column. And that is, although I do find this filter thing on the side here much easier to use. Okay, so that's how we can get rid of one of our columns. We could also get rid of one of our categories, as I showed you. So then we have let's go down to the bottom, Pareto chart. So this is that bar chart and a line chart together. And this is a bit of an odd one. Okay, so we're continuing with this fruit juice story. I'm going to select all our information. I'm going to insert recommended charts. And it automatically gives us what it gave us just now, a bar chart. But we don't just want a bar chart. We want the bar chart with the columns going in descending order. So we want a specific order. And we also want the line graph showing us cumulative totals. So what we do at the top, we're in recommended charts. Go to the tab next to it, the all charts. Okay, and then go down the left-hand side here. And we're going to go all the way down to histogram, which is very strange because this isn't a histogram. Okay, we'll do histograms in section 2.3. So let's choose that one. Now notice this very strange option it's giving. That looks nothing like a Pareto chart. So that's what, if you look at the top, it gives you two options. I want this option. Notice it's got the bars and it's got a line. It looks a bit different from what we've done by hand. But when I show you the graph, I can explain why. So this is definitely what we want. Press OK. Let's make this a bit larger. Okay, and a bit larger. So now it has rearranged our bars from the most popular fruit drink all the way down to the least popular. Notice the bars are separated by a thin white line. You can click on your data series and add a border around it, just like we did with the bar chart. Oh, I'm not sure if we did do it with the bar chart. So let's double click there. Okay. And let's go to our paint, borders. Notice we could go to the fill if we wanted, but we want the borders. We clicked on something, so we want to go to the border. We want a solid line for the border. We'll just show red, okay, as crazy as that is. Click here. Notice I double clicked so that only one of these blocks was highlighted. Always pay attention if you've got one or several. This is what you can do. You can do a border for all of them. Okay, so I've just done it for one. Let's get rid of that so it's out the way and doesn't confuse things. Now your bars, they are all red from the axis, your y-axis on this side. Okay, so if you see here, your Go Fruit bar has a little bit over, probably about 76. There we go. If you look in your data, it says there's 77 people. Okay, so this here is giving you number of people, and this line, it's cumulative, but it's not given as a cumulative number. It's given as a cumulative number and then made into a percentage. Okay, that's why it sort of overlaps here. So if you read this line from the right-hand side with the percentage, so the line is always converted to a percentage in Excel. When you do this, if you do it by hand, you don't have to do it like that. Okay, so that's the odd looking one. And our pie chart, well, this is just the same information that we had just now. Let's just do this so I can show you some style changing. We select everything. You should be used to this. insert. We'll do it really quick, recommended charts. Let's choose the pie chart this time. Okay, notice here, again, that's sort of in the way. It's very painful. Let's make it all bigger. Let's move that. I'm going to get rid of that because I'm going to add information to our each of these pie slices. So let's go add, let's get rid of the legend. I can add it again just now. I can, let's check, go to my styles. There you go. Notice here, style I've chosen gives me a percentage, not just the number, the percentage with the different categories on the side. I can choose down the side here some more options. There's a variety. I'm going to go to, let's try this one. Okay, I like this one quite a bit because it gives the name of the fruit drink and the percentage it contributes towards the whole. And of course, I can go and make this font bigger. So that usual, we'll go up to the top, our home. Increase your font size so it's easier to read. Okay, there we go. So I quite like this style instead of the original one. The last kind of graph chart we're going to look at isn't one that just pops up like this. We're going to do a stem and leaf plots. And there is no quick way to do this in Excel. So I've got a data set in my column A. There are how many in the data set? 15 in our data set. And it's not in ascending order. So the first thing with the stem and leaf plot, put it in ascending order. So you select everything and you then go and you can either order using some of the options up at the top. Okay, but I like to do the shorthand. Right click, go down until you get to sort. I want to sort smallest to largest, and it's done that for me. Notice the smallest value is a 3, the largest is 61. So each can get explained as some 10s and some 1s. So 61 is 6 10s and 1 1. Scroll up a bit more. The first value, the smallest, is no 10s and 3 1s. So my stem is going to go from no 10s, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The largest value is 6. And let's make these nice and large fonted. Center it all. Okay, so that's my stem. Now I'm going to want a vertical line on the right-hand side. So I'll highlight this, go up into my font area. Here, if I click down here, it tells me there's a whole bunch of different borders I can do. Now I want just a border on the right-hand side of those cells. So if I click over here, notice I've got this vertical line. Okay, so we got a 3 and a 3, so this is a 3, 3. And then in teens, I've got, let's highlight them, just so it's easy for me to see. I've got an 11, 12, notice how painful this is. And you keep going for all of them. Okay, I'm not going to waste time doing it. You do it for all of them. And what you can do is you can make this slightly more compact. Select your columns, go to column width. It currently says that my column width is 8,43. Let's change it to maybe 6. Okay, so it's brought it a bit closer. And so now if you've got a whole bunch of leaves in one of the rows, it'll now be easier to read. Okay, and that would be your stem and leaf. And that's all the types of graphs that we've covered. Oh dear, I'm fighting with my Excel. So let us do my stop share, and then you're going to see my face for a moment. Hello, I'm glad I don't have any cupboards open in the background and stuff. So now I will stop my